Respected Principal of the College, Dr. S.K. Thakurji, Organizing Secretary and the man behind this show, Dr. Kishore Mukhopadhyay, today's resource person, Dr. Gharote, Director, Lonavala Yoga Institute, Dr. G.C. Pal, Dr. Kar, participants, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the organizers, especially to Principal of the College and Organizing Secretary, my senior from LNIP, from Lakshmi National Institute of Physical Education. We completed our education from the same institute, and Dr. Kishore was my senior. I am directed by Dr. Kishore to speak on the title, Concept of Research in Social Science. Ladies and gentlemen, before starting my presentation, I would like to share a quote. I request to the participants, please mute your mic, please. Dr. Kar, I think your mic is on. Dr. Kar. Thank you very much. Thank you. Before starting my presentation, I would like to share a quote regarding the significance of research given by an eminent personality. Anything without research is like shooting an arrow into the air, then looking for the target to catch it with. This quote by eminent personality from the field of research give a great importance, tells us about the great significance of research. So without wasting time, let's discuss about basic concept of social science research, basic concept in social science research. Dr. Kishore, is it visible on the full screen?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, fine.
For better conversation, I divided my presentation into 5 different parts. First, we will discuss about the approaches of research, since we follow different approaches. In the second part, that is the most important, I will discuss about the basic meaning. In the third part, we will discuss about the classification or types of research. In the fourth part, we will discuss about the steps of research if the time permits. In the last part, we will discuss about the data analysis. Since Dr. Kishore allotted me only 1 hour, it is very difficult to discuss about all issues regarding the basic concept of research in social science in the limited duration of time, but I will try my level best. Let's start with the approaches. Ladies and gentlemen, as a researcher, we follow 2 different approaches. The first approach is known as the theory development approach. This is based on logics, whereby scientific laws are inferred from the particular facts or observational evidences. On the other hand, the second approach is testing theory instead of theory development. This testing theory approach, this second approach emphasizes that theories came first, then the observations. According to these, a group that follow testing theory approach, these are known as deductivists. As per these, inductivism, it means who follow theory development approach. Inductivism is invalid because scientific theories cannot be proved by a particular observation. We will discuss in very brief about both the types of approaches, theory development and testing theory. This theory development approach is known as a qualitative approach. And this is known as inductivism. And in this, a researcher creates a new theory. And these are conducted by taking larger data, by gathering larger data. On the other hand, the testing theory approach is known as the quantitative approach instead of qualitative approach. Instead of inductivism, this is known as deductivism. But the important point is there is no sharp line dividing these 2 approaches. We do deductive. By we, I mean in the field of social science, maybe humanities, maybe physical education, maybe education, maybe management studies. We do deductive. Since we do earlier studies, we study review of related literature. But our method is a mixed approach. You will be agree with my statement? Our method of conducting research in the field of social science is a mixed method consisting of qualitative as well as quantitative approach that includes both theory development approach and testing theory approach, that includes both inductivism and detectivism. Let's start with the meaning in this. After discussing about the brief discussion of the approaches, I will proceed to the next part of my presentation, that is meaning. What do you mean by research? Let's start with the derived approach. Let's start with the derived meaning. This word consists of two words. Re plus search is known as research. We all know that. And we also know that creation of new knowledge is known as in research, but the condition applies. That should be acceptable in the society. If it's not acceptable in the society, that cannot be considered as a part of research. Re means again, search means to find out. It means to find out again is again and again is known as research as per the derived meaning. But the question arises, since we as a researcher are very curious by nature, the question arises in our mind, what is the need to find out again and again? If to find out again and again is known as research, it means the solution of any problem again becomes a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, in the field of research, there is no standard answer. When the standard answer is established, that is known as the theory. Since there is no standard answer in the field of research, there is a need to find out again and again. And now we will discuss about the meaning in the form of a process. Research is a process that starts from a problem and that solution. And in this process, we do different types of activities. We identify the problem, we collect data, we analyze data, etc. If we do more than one activity, that is known as a process. So research is a process whereas activities are carried out to find out the solution of any problem. But we have to carry out these activities. We have to carry out this process systematically by following a sequence. Now we have established a standard definition. Research is a process whereas activities are carried out systematically to find out the solution of any problem. This is a standard definition of research. We have discussed about two different meanings. Again, I repeat, one meaning is based on the derived approach. Second meaning is based on research as a process. One more issue we will discuss in this. What is the origin of any problem? From where the problem originates? Since we conduct research by taking a particular problem, the problem originates from choice, variety. Where there is a choice, there is a problem. Where there is a variety, there is a problem. Where there is a variance, there is a problem. But these choice, variety, variance, these are the terms which are not closely associated with the research. There is a word in front of you, variable. The origin of any problem is variable. So what do you mean by variable? Variable is a characteristic that has the tendency to change with respect to time, place, and individual. In the field of physical education, there is a long list of variables: psychological variables, stress, anxiety, aggression, excellence, state anxiety, trait anxiety, sports competition anxiety. There is a long list of physiological variables: neutrophil counts, basophil counts, eosinophil counts, leukocytes, RBC counts, positive breath holding capacity, negative breath holding capacity, resting heart rate, resting respiratory rate. There is a long list of variables, maybe biomechanical variables, maybe kinesiological variables. So origin of any problem is variable. First we have to identify the variables. By taking that, we conduct the researches. Now in this second part, in the meaning, we have discussed, again I repeat, three different issues. First one is a derived approach to find out the again and again is known as research. The second is research as a process, whereas activities are carried out systematically to find out the solution of a problem. In the third part, we have discussed about the origin of any problem. Origin is variable. Now, we will discuss about the different types of variables since we conduct our studies by taking different types of variables. Different authors classified and described variables in different forms. If we discuss about the types of variables, we will discuss about two different types of classifications given by different authors by taking a different basis. First is on the basis of a causal model. This causal model concept is used to conduct experimental studies. If an investigator wanted to conduct any experimental study, this causal model applies. As per the causal model, we classify variables into three different categories. First one is independent variable. Let us formulate a title: effect of morning walk on blood pressure. This is our hypothetical title. In this, morning walk is considered, in this hypothetical title, morning walk is considered as independent variable. That is known as a treatment. And second one is confounding variables. Confounding variables, the variables which are beyond the control of investigator but affect the study. And these are sub-classified into two categories: intervening, these are beyond our control, and extraneous, to a great extent we can control. In intervening variables, we can say beyond control, climatic conditions. In extraneous variables, to a great extent we can control food habits, lifestyle. And the third type of variable is known as dependent variable. Our hypothetical title is effect of morning walk on blood pressure. In this hypothetical title, dependent variable is blood pressure. This is the classification on the basis of causal model. Independent, confounding. Dependent and confounding is divided into two categories: intervening and extraneous. Second one is, if on the basis of the unit of measurement we classify all the variables into different categories, we classify into four different categories. First one is a nominal scale. When we measure any variable in a frequency or count in a discrete series, number of agree, number of disagree, number of pass, number of excellent, and this nominal scale can be in the dichotomous form. Dichotomy means dicho means two, having two ends. Smoking, smokers, non-smokers, divided into two categories. That may be polytomies. Polytomies means divided in more than two categories, maybe race, classified as Chinese, Indians, Americans, Germans, Polish, etc. And second one is a ordinal scale. Second one is a ordinal scale. Ordinal scale means when we collect data in an order, maybe a descending order, maybe in an ascending order, that is known as ordinal scale. This ordinal scale, for example, if we want to measure a severity of pain, we may say we have a high pain, medium pain, low pain, etc. If these are the examples of ordinal scale. Next one is interval scale. Interval scale means having same intervals in between but has no fixed zero. Example is anxiety, stress, depression. And ratio scale means having same intervals in between but has a fixed zero. Examples are weight, height, etc. So we have discussed about two different types of classifications of variables. One is based on the causal model, another is based on the unit of measurement. After the brief description of the concept of variables, I will discuss about the different types of researches. Same as classification of variables, to classify research in different subtypes, we require a base. If on the basis of the sources of data, we classify the research into different parts, we classify only into two categories. One is quantitative research, another is qualitative research. Ladies and gentlemen, quantitative researches are conducted on the basis of variables, and we have discussed about the meaning of variable. On the other hand, qualitative researches are conducted on the basis of attributes. It means the qualitative characteristic that cannot be measured in a numeric value. Example is beauty. Another example is severity of pain. Then the question may arise in the mind of a researcher: can we convert one type of research into another type of research? Can we convert quantitative research into qualitative research or qualitative into quantitative? Variables can be converted into attributes, but attributes cannot be converted into exact variables. So quantitative researches cannot be converted into qualitative. can be converted into qualitative, but not vice versa. But it is advised by the eminent scholars not to convert one type of research into another type of research. Why? If we convert one type of research into another type of research, there will be loss of information in between, and the probability of success will not be maximum. And any researcher want to attain the maximum probability of success. Due to this reason, if we are having variables, we should conduct quantitative. If we have attributes, we should conduct qualitative researches. This classification is the main classification that is favored by different authors on the basis of methodology. On the basis of methodology, we can divide the research into 5 different categories. First one is experimental research, that is based on the survey studies, historical and philosophical. And the last category, 5th categories, are the case studies. Experimental research, that is based on the future. Anything that is based on an experiment that will be conducted in the future, that is known as experiment. But ladies and gentlemen, in the language of research, maximization of treatment variance and minimization of error variance. If we conduct any research on the basis of this principle, that is known as experimental. Survey studies based on present. Since to conduct surveys, we collect data from the present status. Historical, any research which is based on meaningful past is considered as historical. Philosophical, based on vision, views, ideas, and concepts. Case studies based on any social unit. There is a long list of social unit. Individual, community, college, university, caste, class, community. We can conduct case studies. But this survey study, the second one, is sub-classified into different subcategories: comparative survey, relationship studies, prediction studies, and descriptive studies. So we have discussed about 2 different types of classifications. One is based on sources of data, and this one is based on methodology. Let's proceed to the 3rd types of classification on the basis of scope and utility. If on the basis of scope and utility, we classify the whole area of research, we classify only into 3 categories. First one is action research, second one is applied research, and third one is basic research. Action research is based on that solve situational problems. The scope is very narrow. This solve situational problems. Applied researches are also known as experimental researches. Scope is a reason. Basic research is also known as fundamental research or theoretical research or pure research. If we conduct the same applied research at different timings and different reasons, if the results are same, that becomes a basic. On the basis of that, we establish the principles. And in relation to the 3rd type of classification, on the basis of involvement of subjects, I will not discuss about this classification, since this is related to biomedical researches. Since I am discussing about the basic concept of social science research, I will not discuss in detail about this classification. That is human researches or animal researches. I will not discuss about that. So now I will proceed to the next part of my presentation. That is the steps of research. Now we will discuss about the steps of research. I will discuss about the whole journey in the field of social science. Steps of research. First step is identification of problem. So what do you mean by identification of problem? Ladies and gentlemen, let us take an example of a psychology. Is it homogeneous field or heterogeneous field? Your answer will be it's a heterogeneous field. My another question is, can we conduct any study by taking heterogeneous field? No, we have to reduce the heterogeneity. From the field of psychology, investigator has taken motivation. Is it motivation heterogeneous, homogeneous? We will say it's also heterogeneous. Again, we have to reduce the heterogeneity. From the field of motivation, we have taken the only one variable, incentive motivation. So identification of variable is nothing. Reducing heterogeneity of any subject is known as identification of problem. Then the question arises, to which extent we have to reduce the heterogeneity? Answer is, we have to reduce the heterogeneity till the selection of variables. Now, I will discuss about 3 different points. 3 steps. By following that, yes, we can say, yes, we have reduced the heterogeneity and we have identified the problem. First step is define variable. Second is title writing. Third one is objective writing. All these are the part of the identification of problem as per the eminent scholars from the field of research. Define variable. We have to define what is independent variable, what is dependent variable, what is confounding in the category of confounding, what is intervening, and what is extraneous. Title writing, we should take care about that. There are 3 qualities should be present, 3 characteristics should be present in a good title. The title should talk about variable, the title should talk about methodology, the title should talk about population. Today we have framed one title, effect of morning walk on blood pressure. Is it a good title? Yes, this title possesses variable methodology, but there is no description of population in this. The complete title will be effect of morning walk on the blood pressure of Calcutta females. We have to describe variable, methodology, and population in a title. And objective writing, we can write any type of objective in by following any type of language or sentence. For example, the object in this hypothetical title, the objective of the study shall be to find out the effect of morning walk on the females of Calcutta. Main question is, can we write objective in interrogative sentences? Yes, there is a trend nowadays. We can write objective in interrogative sentences. Is there any effect of morning walk on the blood pressure of Calcutta females? Yes, we can write in this form also. So we have discussed about the first step, that is identification of problem. In the second step is the formulation of hypothesis. What do you mean by hypothesis? Many scholars believe that tentative answer, tentative guess, tentative assumption is known as hypothesis. No, every tentative assumption cannot be considered as hypothesis. Ladies and gentlemen, only intelligent assumptions are known as hypothesis. That should be testable. Suppose if we toss a coin, what will happen? We can hypothesize it will there will be tail or there will be head. We cannot say if we toss a coin, the coin will remain in the air. No, this type of statement should not be there. That should be testable. Only intelligent assumptions are known as hypothesis. If we discuss about the type, many researchers believe that there are 2 types of hypothesis, null and alternate. No, these are the forms of hypothesis. Types are research, statistical, and operational. Research hypothesis is when we use the word relationship. That may be in the null form, that may be in the alternate form. Statistical, in this we use the word difference. This also may be in null form or alternate form. And the third, that is considered as the best hypothesis, that is specific to a study, that is known as operational hypothesis. But we have to formulate hypothesis on the basis of a base. Then the question arises, what is the base to formulate hypothesis? We know that literature is the base to formulate. We go through the literature. On the basis of the literature, on the basis of the previous studies, we formulate the hypothesis. If we search the literature related to our proposed topic, two situations may arise. One is literature is available, second one is non-availability. In case of the availability, there may be 2 chances. Sufficient literature is available, insufficient literature is available. Ladies and gentlemen, non-availability of literature is a strong base to formulate null hypothesis. But nowadays, in every field, literature is available. So it's clear we should not formulate null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is best when there is no strong base, there is no related literature. In that case, we have to formulate null hypothesis. Insufficient literature cannot be considered as a base to formulate hypothesis. So in case of insufficient also, we have to formulate null. And in case of sufficient, 2 situations may arise. There is a homogeneity in findings and there is heterogeneity in findings. If there is there is sufficient literature and there is a homogeneity in findings, then we have to follow their findings, either null or alternate. And in case of insufficient findings, we have to formulate null hypothesis. If the sufficient literature is available and there is a heterogeneity in findings, in that case, we have to formulate operational hypothesis that is specific to your study. It means in operational hypothesis, we have to explain independent and dependent variable in detail. For example, our hypothetical example is effect of morning walk on blood pressure. If we want to formulate hypothesis, it is hypothesized that there shall not be any effect of morning walk on blood pressure if the morning walk is performed in the morning in such and such humidity in this environmental condition with this intensity, and the blood pressure is measured immediately after the completion of morning walk. It means in operational hypothesis, we have to explain independent and dependent variable in detail. So we have discussed about the two steps of social science research. Please try to recall. In the first step, we have discussed about the identification of problem. In the second step, we have discussed about the formulation hypothesis. The third step is the collection of data. From where we collect data? We collect data in the form of a sample by the population. Why? We know that sample represent the entire population. The characteristics which are present in sample, we believe that these are present in population also. So this is a representative of entire population. There is a word, we should have an idea about the word frame. Frame means knowledge of each and every unit of the population is known as frame. In our hypothetical title, in our today's hypothetical title, effect of morning walk on Calcutta females. What is the frame of population? Frame of population is Calcutta females. Can we conduct any study without frame of the population? Yes. For example, if any researcher want to conduct a study on the pickpocketers of Calcutta, we don't know. If we have an idea about five pickpocketers, no one will tell, yes, I am pickpocketer. So frame may be known, frame may not be known. Ladies and gentlemen, if the frame of population is known, we have to use probability sampling technique. There is a long list: random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster, sequential, multi-stage, etc. If the frame is not known, in that case, we have to use non-probability sampling technique for a true representation. For example, ice ball sampling, judgment sampling, convenience sampling, etc. So we have discussed about the three main steps of research in social science. First, we have discussed about identification of problem. In the second, we have discussed about formulation of hypothesis. And in the third, we have discussed about the collection of data. After the collection of data, we have another step. We have fourth step in front of us, that is known as analysis of data. This is the main. Every researcher should develop a concept, should develop a vision, which statistical technique is used to analyze, in which situation, in which experimental design, in which research design. So we will discuss about these statistical techniques in the fourth step. Ladies and gentlemen, next step is analysis of data. To analyze data, we require statistical techniques. And these statistical techniques are known as inferential statistics. Since by applying these techniques, we draw inferences. But there are some limitations of statistics. We should keep in our mind about the limitations also. It is not possible to discuss about all the limitations of statistics in the limited duration of time, but I will discuss about two different limitations every researcher should keep in the entirety of his or her mind, especially young researchers. First limitation is statistical laws are not exact. By the help of the application of statistical tool, after analysis, we get a probable answer, not 100% truth. Due to this reason, there is a concept of level of significance. In the field of social science, we conduct our studies at 0.05 level of significance. Our confidence level is only 90%, 95%. So first limitation is statistical laws are not exact. Second one is statistics is liable to be misused, and we may misuse intentionally as well as unintentionally. So all inferential statistics are classified into two subcategories, parametric and non-parametric statistics. We directly apply parametric to analyze data, but no, it's not a good practice. To apply parametric statistics, some assumptions should be fulfilled. Otherwise, we have to apply parallel non-parametric technique. Among all assumptions, the common assumptions are normality of data. The data should be normally distributed. First we have to test the normality. If the data is normally distributed, we have to apply parametric. Otherwise, we have to apply parallel non-parametric technique. Second one is at least interval or ratio scale is required. We have discussed in the classification of variables on the basis of the scale of measurement. We classify into 4 categories: nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, ratio scale. Among these 4 scale of measurements, we can apply parametric in case of only 2, that is interval or ratio. It means we cannot apply parametric in case of a nominal or ordinal scale. But on the other hand, non-parametric technique can be applied in any distribution and in any scale of measurement. So the first step in front of the researcher is to test the normality. Why? We have to decide as investigator whether we have to apply parametric or we have to apply non-parametric. So we will discuss about how to check the normal distribution. Normal distribution means having maximum concentration of the scores at the center and the frequency tapers at both the ends. That is known as a bell-shaped curve. That is known as a Gaussian curve. So how to test the normality? There are 3 methods. By using that, we can test the normality. First one is descriptive, second one is graphical method, third one is formal test. What do you mean by descriptive statistics? By hearing the word descriptive statistics, measures of central tendency and measures of variability comes in front of our mind. Measures of central tendency means mean, median, mode. Measures of variability means range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation. No, we do not require all measures. Out of all descriptive measures, we require only 4 to test the normality, skewness, standard error of skewness, kurtosis, and standard error of kurtosis. We have to calculate these values. If the value of skewness is less than standard error of skewness, and if the value of kurtosis is less than the standard error of kurtosis, it means data is normally distributed. Or we can keep in mind a thumb rule. Thumb rule is if the value of skewness and kurtosis, if the value of both is in between -1 to 1, that means data is normal. We can directly apply parametric. Otherwise, we have to apply parallel non-parametric technique. Second one is a graphical method. Graphical method means that this is known as QQ plot. We know that in a graph there is x-axis, there is a y-axis. A standard line is generated and all the scores should be scattered near to this line. If all the scores are scattered near to this line, it means data is normal. Otherwise, data is non-normal. Third one is a formal test. There is a long list of formal tests. These formal tests are constructed or established to test the normality only. These tests are, I will discuss about only 4 tests: KST, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, SWT, Shapiro-Wilk test, ADT, Anderson-Darling test, and RJT, Ryan-Joyner test. The SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Science, that software provide us the facility of first 2 tests. First 2 formal tests, that is KST, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, and Shapiro-Wilk test. The facility of ADT, Anderson-Darling test, and RJT, Ryan-Joyner test is available in other softwares, for example, in Minitab. So, by using these 3 methods, we can test the normality. But one point all young researchers should keep in their mind, the testing normality depends on the sample size, and there are 3 different types of sample sizes: small sample, moderate sample, and large sample. Small sample means if we conduct our study by taking less than 30, consider it as a small. If we conduct our study by taking in between 30 to 100 units, that is known as moderate sample size. If we conduct any study by taking more than 100 units, 100 and more, that is known as large sample. The methodology to test normality will be different for all these three categories. I will not discuss in detail since Dr. Kishore allotted me only 1 hour and the main part is pending. We will discuss about the analysis of data in detail. Again, I repeat, we are discussing about the fourth step, analysis of data. For that, we require statistical techniques, and we divided all statistical techniques into two parts, parametric and non-parametric. And we have also discussed to apply parametric, we have to test the normality. If the normal data is there, we have to apply parametric, otherwise parallel non-parametric technique is applied. We will discuss about 5, 6, 7 techniques. We divide this parametric, that first category, into different types: comparative statistics and relationship statistics. And comparative statistics means smallest comparison is possible in between two groups. Then more than two groups, the comparison by taking covariate, and same as in a relationship, the smallest relationship is possible in between two variables, then more than two variables, then regression. Let's start with the first, comparison between two groups. If we want to compare two groups, the technique which is used is known as t-test. T-test is a statistical technique used to find out the significant difference between the means of two samples. Actually, by the help of t-test, we find out the mean between the two independent samples. There are three different types of t-test. First one is independent sample t-test. Second one is a dependent t-test, and third one is one sample t-test. Let's discuss one by one. Let's start with the independent t-test. Independent t-test is used to compare two independent groups. Let's formulate a title: comparison of anxiety between males and females. There are two groups, males and females. Both are independent, both are separate. To find out the difference between these two groups is the technique which is used is known as independent t-test. This t-test is used to conduct survey studies. Which type of survey? Comparative survey. Next one is dependent t-test. On the other hand, dependent t-test is used to conduct experimental studies. Effect of morning walk on blood pressure. First we have to take pre-test, then in between we have to provide morning walk treatment, then post-test. To find out the difference between the two different observations of the same group, the technique which is applied is known as dependent t-test. In independent t-test, there are two columns. In our hypothetical example, male, female. In this dependent t-test also, we have two columns in the form of a pre and post, two different observations of same group. And next one is one sample t-test. One sample t-test is used to compare a group with a specified constant. In the field of physical education, we can use this one sample t-test to compare a group with a target, to compare a group with a normative value, to compare a group with a specified constant. So there are three. So we should take care about the application of three different types of t-tests. All the three compare two different columns, but in three different ways. Next one is the technique which is used to compare more than two groups is known as ANOVA, analysis of variance. I will not discuss about the different types of analysis of variances. I will discuss about only two different types of analysis of variances. First is one-way ANOVA. In layman's language, we can say that one-way ANOVA is an extension of independent t-test. What was our example of independent t-test? Comparison of anxiety between males and females. If we want to extend this, the technique which is used to compare more than two groups, let's formulate a title: comparison of anxiety between arts, commerce, and science students instead of two, that is male, female. In this example, we have three groups: arts students, commerce students, and science students. The columns may be, the groups may be 3, 4, 5 of n numbers. Both independent t-test and one sample t-test, both are used to conduct survey studies, since one-way ANOVA is an extension of independent t-test, and That design which is used to conduct these studies is known as static group comparison design. If any researcher is using static group comparison design, in that case, the researcher will apply, if there are two groups, he or she will apply independent t-test. If there are more than two groups, in that case, he or she will apply one-way ANOVA. Next one is repeated measure analysis of variance, repeated measure ANOVA. We have discussed that one-way ANOVA is an extension of independent t-test, and this repeated measure ANOVA is an extension of this dependent t-test. And what was our example of dependent t-test? Effect of morning walk on blood pressure. We have two observations, pre and post, we compared two. That technique which is used to compare more than two observations of the same group is known as repeated measure ANOVA. Instead of two observations in the form of a pre and post, we can take more than two. That is pre-test, mid-1 test, mid-2, and final test. So we have n number of observations in this. We can find out the linear trend, we can find out the quadratic trend, we can find out the cubic trend, fourth order, fifth order, and so on. We can find out all the trends. So it is not possible to discuss about the application of all the statistical techniques in the limited duration of time. We have discussed about the application of 5 different techniques. Again, I repeat: independent t-test, dependent t-test, one sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, repeated measure ANOVA. But all these 5 techniques are applied when the data is normally distributed. Suppose the data is non-normally distributed. In that case, what we have to do? We have to apply parallel non-parametric technique. So we should discuss about the all parallel non-parametric technique of all these 5 techniques. Let's start with the first. The parallel non-parametric technique of independent t-test is known as Mann-Whitney test. Both independent t-test and Mann-Whitney test both serve the same purpose. Both compare two independent groups, but independent t-test is applied in case of normality, normal distribution, and in Mann-Whitney test is applied in case of non-normal distribution. The second technique is dependent t-test. We know that, we have already discussed that dependent t-test is used in case of normal distribution. Same parallel non-parametric technique of dependent t-test is known as Wilcoxon matched paired signed rank test. Again, I repeat, Wilcoxon matched paired signed rank test is a parallel non-parametric technique of dependent t-test. One is used in case of normal distribution, another non-normal distribution. Let's proceed to the third, one sample t-test. The parallel non-parametric technique of one sample t-test is known as a sign test. Now, fourth technique in our sequence is one-way ANOVA, one-way analysis of variance. The parallel non-parametric technique of one-way analysis of variance is a Kroskal-Wallis test. But there is no parallel non-parametric technique of repeated measure ANOVA. In that case, we have to make pairs, and we have to apply the same parallel non-parametric technique of dependent t-test, that is known as Wilcoxon matched paired signed rank test. So we have discussed about 9 different techniques: independent t-test, Mann-Whitney test; dependent t-test, Wilcoxon matched paired signed rank test; one sample t-test, sign test; one-way ANOVA, Kroskal-Wallis test; and the 9th technique is repeated measure ANOVA. In that case also, in case of non-parametric, we have to apply the parallel non-parametric technique of dependent t-test, that is Wilcoxon matched paired signed rank test. So only 10 minutes are remaining. I will ask from the organizer, especially Dr. Kishore. Dr. Kishore, I want to show how to analyze data. If any researcher has his or her interest about the application of one-way ANOVA, independent t-test, dependent t-test, or we have a facility on Excel also, on SPSS also. So I will start from Dr. Kishore. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
I am going to show on this Excel how to, but active participation of any subject is required. He will cooperate me. Subject, who will cooperate me? Who will? It will be two-way interaction, not one-way interaction. I interacted with one way. Now we will interact in two-way. Who will cooperate me? Please, any volunteer? Okay, Dr. Kishore, what was our example of independent test? Comparison of anxiety between males and females. Agree?
Yes, yes.
How many
Yes, you
males
can
we have
proceed.
taken? How many males we have taken? Suppose
20.
20. How many females?
Same number, 20.
Same number, 20, 20. Total number of subject is 40, 20 male, 20 female. And we want to compare anxiety, whether both possesses the same level of anxiety or not. We have to apply independent t-test. We will calculate by using this Excel, as well as after that we will calculate by using SPSS also. I am entering these scores. We have, as per our discussion, we have two groups. One is male. Is it visible?
Yes, clearly visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second one is females, and I am entering the anxiety scores of males. How many subjects we are having in males?
20, sir.
20.
20.
You
Yes.
have to go 20 word cell.
Yes. Now females. How many subjects we are having in females?
Same number.
Same
20.
number. Yes. I entered all 20 scores.
You have to go one more cell.
Yes, yes, yes. Since in the first we have added the heading. Yes, you are right. Yes. Is it okay?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Now go to data. See, are you seeing this data analysis icon? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Any student, any participant? Any participant? Where is my cursor? Where is my cursor?
Data analysis.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
click on data analysis. Now, see, where is, this is command for independent t-test. T-test 2 sample assuming equal variances. Select this, click on OK. Now go to variable in front of variable 1 range, click on this arrow, select all the scores. Again, click on the same arrow. Now go to variable 2 range, click on the arrow, select all scores. Again, click on the arrow, opt for labels and click on OK. The result will be in front of you. Now, please tell me, only participants, please tell me, what is the mean value of males? Any participant, please. What is the mean value of male?
64.6.
And for females?
60.3.
And what is the t value? 0.95. And this is a critical value. P for two tail, this is 0.34. If this value is less than 0.05, it means difference is there in this. Since this value is not less than 0.05, it's greater than 0.05, it means there is no significant difference between the anxiety level of males and females. Both males and females possesses the same level of anxiety. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Please mute. Please remember all the values. We will do the same. We will do the same by using SPS. Is there any need to calculate by the help of SPSS? Dr. Kishore, is it?
If you want, you can show, but they had a very little knowledge on SPSS.
Okay, no problem. Yani, there is no need to use SPSS. They can calculate at the initial level. They can calculate this on this.
Okay, you can proceed.
Yes. Okay. Now, only 5 minutes left. You can ask any, I think question and answer session should be there. If any participant want to ask any type of question, he or she can ask.
Actually, I am asking one question. What is
Yes.
the difference between parallel group design and stratified group design?
What is the difference between parallel design and
Stratified group design.
Dr. Kishore? Different authors classified all designs, research designs or experimental designs in their own way. So it is very difficult to explain about that. For example, let us discuss about an example. If we talk about the repeated measure design, some authors described repeated means all treatments are given to, every treatment is given to every subject. And some authors described pre-test, mid-test, final test in this way. So I do not have an idea about parallel design or stratified design. I have discussed about I have gone through the classification as per the book written by Best, as well as Dr. H. Harrison Clark and David H. Clark. And both are the known name. One is in the field of education and another in the field of physical education. But I didn't care about these designs.
Great. Okay, sir. So if there is any question, you can ask. Otherwise, you can write the question in the chat box also. We can respond with you later on. If there is any question, you can please write it down in the chat box.
I am asking you one question. I am asking you one question. How analysis of variance is associated with level of measurement, that is interval or ratio, nominal or ordinal.
Sir, please repeat the question.
ANOVA is associated with how analysis of variance is associated with the level of measurement, that is interval or ratio or ordinal or nominal.
Strictly analysis of variance is associated with only in case of interval or ratio scale. We cannot apply analysis of variance ANOVA in case of nominal and ordinal scale. In case of nominal scale, if we are having the categorical data in the form of a dichotomous or in the form of a polytomous, in that case we have to apply chi-square.
Okay. Actually, for independent variable, can we apply the analysis of variance?
Yes,
independent
we cannot
variable.
apply analysis of variance in case of nominal scale. We cannot apply.
Okay. Thank you, sir.